The massive doors of the Zephyrian royal palace opened with a deep rumbling sound that echoed through the crystal corridors. Captain Ben Torres stepped forward, his heavy boots making sharp clicking noises on the polished stone floor. Every step he took seemed loud in the quiet hallway. The sound bounced off the walls made of pure blue crystal that glowed with soft inner light. Ben wore the standard combat armor of the Earth Defense Force. The dark metal plates covered his body from neck to feet. Small scratches and dents marked the surface, telling stories of battles fought across distant worlds. His helmet carried the flag of Earth painted in bright colors on the side. The armor looked heavy and practical, built for war rather than beauty. 2 Zephyrian guards walked beside him. Their bodies were tall and thin, covered in natural crystal armor that grew from their skin like living glass. The crystals changed color as they moved, shifting from deep blue to bright green to purple. Each guard had 4 arms that ended in sharp crystal points instead of fingers. Their faces were smooth and angular, with large eyes that glowed with inner fire. The guards said nothing as they walked. Their crystal feet made no sound on the floor. They moved with a flowing grace that made Ben feel heavy and clumsy by comparison. His armor weighed 60 pounds, but he had worn it so long that he barely noticed the weight anymore. The hallway opened into a huge circular room with walls that stretched up so high that the ceiling disappeared in shadow. Hundreds of Zephyrian nobles filled the space, their crystal bodies creating a rainbow of colors that danced across the walls. They stood in perfect silence, watching Ben with curious eyes. At the center of the room sat a throne made from a single piece of black crystal. The throne was 20 feet tall and carved with complex patterns that seemed to move when Ben looked at them directly. Sitting on the throne was Emperor Zex, ruler of the Zephyrian Empire. The emperor was ancient, even by Zephyrian standards. His crystal body had turned from blue to deep purple with age. Veins of gold ran through his crystal skin like living metal. His 4 arms rested on the sides of his throne, and his eyes glowed with the wisdom of centuries. Standing beside the throne was Princess Kala, the emperor's daughter and heir to the empire. She was younger than her father but still over 200 years old by Earth standards. Her crystal body was bright blue with veins of silver that pulsed with her heartbeat. She had the classic Zephyrian build, tall and thin with 4 arms and angular features. Princess Kala wore no clothing, as was normal for her species. Their crystal skin provided all the protection they needed. Instead, she wore jewelry made of rare metals that wrapped around her arms and neck like silver snakes. Her hair was made of thin crystal strands that moved like water when she turned her head. Ben stopped 20 feet from the throne and removed his helmet. His face was weathered and marked by years of military service. A scar ran from his left temple to his jaw, earned during the Battle of Proxima Station. His eyes were brown and steady, showing no fear despite being surrounded by hundreds of alien warriors. "Your Majesty," Ben said, placing his fist over his heart in the traditional Earth military salute. "I am Captain Ben Torres of the Earth Defense Force. I come as a representative of the United Planets of Earth to discuss an alliance between our peoples." Emperor Zex leaned forward on his throne. His voice was deep and musical, like the sound of wind through crystal caves. "Captain Torres, we have heard much about your species. The humans of Earth have spread across many star systems in just a few centuries. This is unusual for such a young race." "We are grateful for your time, Your Majesty," Ben replied. "Our species may be young, but we have much to offer in an alliance. Earth's technology and the courage of our people could be valuable to the Zephyrian Empire." Princess Kala stepped forward, her crystal feet ringing against the floor. Her 4 arms crossed over her chest as she looked Ben up and down with obvious distaste. "Technology," she said, her voice carrying across the silent room. "Is that what you call this crude metal shell you wear?" Ben turned to face the princess. "This is standard combat armor, Your Highness. It has served me well in many battles. The princess laughed, a sound like crystal bells ringing. The nobles around the room joined in, their laughter creating a musical chorus that filled the air. "Served you well," she said. "You hide inside metal plates like a frightened animal hiding in its shell. This is what humans call armor." She moved closer to Ben, walking in a slow circle around him. Her silver eyes examined every piece of his equipment. "Look at this primitive construction," she continued. "These plates are welded together like scrap metal. The joints are clumsy and loud. The whole design shows fear and weakness." Ben remained still as she circled him. His face showed no emotion, but his hands clenched slightly at his sides. Around the room, the Zephyrian nobles murmured among themselves, their crystal voices creating a sound like wind chimes. "Our bodies are our armor," Princess Kala announced, turning to address the crowd. "We grow crystal skin that is stronger than any metal. We need no external protection because we are born warriors. Our very bones are weapons, our flesh is shield and sword combined." She extended one of her 4 arms toward Ben. Crystal blades grew from her forearm, sharp as razors and glowing with inner light. The blades were 6 inches long and perfectly formed, created by her body in seconds. "This is natural armor, Captain Torres. This is what evolution creates when a species is truly strong." Emperor Zex watched the exchange with interest but said nothing. This was his daughter's moment to prove herself as future ruler of the empire. The Zephyrian people valued strength above all else. Any alliance with humans would need to pass this test first. "Your species fascinates us," Princess Kala continued. "You have no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. Yet somehow you have conquered many worlds. How do you explain this contradiction?" Ben met her gaze steadily. "We use tools, Your Highness. We build what we lack naturally." "Tools," she repeated, as if the word tasted bad. "Yes, that is exactly what I mean. You depend on artificial things because you are weak by nature. Remove this armor, human, and what remains? Soft flesh that tears easily. Slow healing that leaves permanent scars. Bones that break and stay broken." The princess moved to stand directly in front of Ben. Despite her thin build, she was nearly 7 feet tall, looking down at him from above. "We Zephyrians heal from any wound within hours. Our crystal skin deflects energy weapons and absorbs impact. We need no external tools because we are complete as we were born." "That is indeed impressive, Your Highness," Ben said quietly. "Impressive?" Princess Kala's voice rose with anger. "It is not impressive, it is superior. We are what your species pretends to be with your crude technology. We are natural warriors born for battle." She turned away from Ben and addressed the assembled nobles. "The humans ask for alliance, but what do they offer? Weak bodies hidden in metal shells. Slow ships that depend on primitive rocket engines. Weapons that require ammunition and maintenance." Several nobles nodded agreement. Their crystal bodies chimed softly as they moved. Ben could see that opinion in the room was turning against him and against Earth. "Our crystal ships travel faster than light without fuel," Princess Kala continued. "Our bodies are our weapons and our shields. Our technology grows like living things and repairs itself. What could we possibly gain from alliance with such inferior beings?" Ben took a deep breath. The future of Earth's relationship with the Zephyrian Empire hung in the balance. The Zephyrians controlled 12 star systems and commanded the most powerful fleet in this region of space. Without their alliance, Earth would be vulnerable to attack from hostile alien races. "Your Highness," Ben said, "perhaps we could demonstrate our respective capabilities through combat. A friendly contest to show what each species brings to warfare." The suggestion created immediate excitement among the nobles. Combat challenges were a beloved tradition in Zephyrian culture. They settled disputes and proved worth through direct contest rather than words alone. Princess Kala's eyes glowed brighter with interest. A combat demonstration? You would face me in battle, Captain Torres. If your highness is willing, Ben replied. Emperor Zek spoke for the first time since the introductions. Daughter, do you accept this challenge? I accept gladly, father, Princess Kala said. It will be educational for our people to see the difference between natural evolution and artificial dependency. The emperor gestured with one of his 4 arms. Then let us proceed to the arena of trials. The contest will be conducted under traditional rules. No weapons except those carried by the combatants. Victory by submission or inability to continue. The crowd began moving toward a large archway at the far end of the throne room. The nobles talked excitedly among themselves as they walked, their crystal voices creating a constant musical background. Many were already placing bets on the outcome. Ben followed the crowd through the archway and down a wide corridor. The walls here were decorated with paintings that showed famous battles from Zephyrian history. Crystal warriors fought against various alien species, their natural weapons gleaming in painted starlight. The corridor opened into an enormous circular arena with tiered seating that rose up in all directions. The floor was made of smooth black stone marked with a white circle 50 feet across. Above the arena, the ceiling was transparent crystal that showed the purple sky of the Zephyrian homeworld. Hundreds of nobles filled the seats, their excited conversations echoing off the crystal walls. Guards in ceremonial armor stood at attention around the arena floor. Everyone was eager to see how this unusual contest would unfold. Princess Kala walked to the center of the arena with flowing grace. Her crystal body reflected the light from above, creating rainbow patterns on the dark floor. She moved her 4 arms in a complex gesture that Ben recognized as a traditional Zephyrian war dance. Citizens of the Empire, she called out, her voice carrying clearly through the arena. Today we test the worth of the human species. This Captain Torres claims that his people deserve alliance with our great civilization. Let us see if human technology can match Zephyrian evolution. The crowd cheered, their crystal voices creating a sound like a massive orchestra of wind instruments. Princess Kala basked in their approval, raising all 4 arms above her head in triumph. Ben walked to his side of the circle. The weight of his armor felt familiar and comforting. He had fought in this equipment on dozen worlds against enemies both alien and human. The scratches and dents on its surface were proof of battles survived and victories won. Before we begin, Princess Kala announced, I want our people to observe the fundamental difference between our species. She gestured toward Ben with 2 of her arms. Observe this human warrior. His strength comes from external tools. His protection is artificial metal. His weapons are carried rather than grown. She began retracting the crystal blades from her forearms, then growing them again. The process took only seconds and created no visible strain. My strength comes from within. My armor is living crystal grown from my own body. My weapons are part of my very essence. Several nobles applauded this demonstration. Ben remained silent, waiting for the contest to begin. He was studying Princess Kala's movements, looking for weaknesses or patterns he could exploit. This primitive armor, Princess Kala continued, pointing directly at Ben, represents everything wrong with human philosophy. You build crude external solutions because you cannot evolve proper internal ones. You depend on tools because you are incomplete as organisms. She walked closer to Ben, her crystal feet ringing against the stone floor. I challenge you, Captain Torres, to abandon your artificial shell. Remove this crude armor and show our people what humans really are beneath all that metal. Fight as your species was actually born to fight, not hidden behind primitive technology. The arena fell silent. This was an unexpected turn. Combat challenges normally allowed warriors to use their natural equipment and abilities. Princess Kala was demanding that Ben give up his armor and fight with only his biological capabilities. Ben looked around the arena at hundreds of alien faces watching him intently. He could see doubt in their crystal eyes. They wondered if humans were truly worthy of alliance or just clever weaklings hiding behind superior tools. Emperor Zex leaned forward in his royal viewing box. "Captain Torres, do you accept my daughter's modification to the challenge?" Ben met the Emperor's gaze steadily. Everything depended on his answer. If he refused, it would confirm Zephyrian's suspicions about human weakness. If he accepted, he would face a superhuman opponent with only his human biology as protection. "I accept, Your Majesty," Ben said clearly. Princess Kala smiled, showing teeth made of crystal that gleamed like diamonds. "Excellent. Remove your artificial shell, human. Show us what your species truly is when stripped of its technological crutches." Ben reached for the clasps of his helmet. The arena held its breath as he began to remove the first piece of his armor. Ben's hands moved to the first clasp of his helmet. The metal made a soft clicking sound as he released the lock. Around the arena, hundreds of Zephyrian nobles leaned forward in their crystal seats, eager to see what lay beneath the human armor. The helmet came off first, revealing Ben's weathered face to the crowd. His brown hair was short and practical, cut in military style. The scar that ran from his temple to his jaw was clearly visible now, a pale line against his tanned skin. Princess Kala watched with satisfaction as Ben set the helmet on the ground. "One piece down," she said loudly enough for the crowd to hear. "Let us see what other artificial protection this human requires." Ben moved to the chest plate next. His fingers worked quickly at the straps and connections that held the armor in place. The crowd murmured among themselves as they watched him work. Many had never seen human armor being removed before. The chest plate was heavy, weighing nearly 20 pounds. As Ben lifted it over his head, several Zephyrian nobles made sounds of surprise. The armor was much thicker than they had expected, with multiple layers of metal and ceramic protection. Beneath the chest plate, Ben wore a simple black undershirt. The fabric was thin and practical, designed to wick moisture away from the body during long battles. As he set the chest plate down beside his helmet, Princess Kala gestured dismissively. "Look at this," she announced to the crowd. Beneath his metal shell, the human wears even more artificial protection. Layer upon layer of external materials because his natural skin is too weak to survive combat. Ben said nothing as he moved to remove the arm guards. Each piece of armor was carefully designed and fitted to his body. The guards protected his forearms and elbows from energy blasts and physical attacks. As they came off, his bare arms were revealed to the watching aliens. The Zephyrian nobles gasped collectively. Ben's arms were covered in scars. Long white lines ran from his wrists to his shoulders, marking places where claws and blades had found their mark in past battles. Burn marks dotted his skin like small craters, evidence of close encounters with plasma weapons and laser fire. Princess Kala's expression shifted from amusement to confusion. She had expected to see soft, unmarked flesh beneath the armor. Instead, she was looking at arms that told stories of survival and endurance. "These marks," she said, stepping closer to examine Ben's scars. "They are permanent." "Yes, Your Highness," Ben replied as he worked on removing his leg armor. "Humans do not regenerate damaged tissue the way your species does. When we are injured, our bodies form scar tissue to repair the damage. The marks remain as permanent reminders." The leg armor came off in sections, revealing more scars on Ben's thighs and shins. A particularly large mark on his left leg showed where shrapnel had torn through muscle during the siege of New Tokyo. Another scar wrapped around his right calf where alien claws had nearly severed the limb entirely. "Incredible," whispered one of the nobles in the crowd. "How does he still function with so much damage?" Princess Kala heard the comment and frowned. This was not going according to her plan. She had expected the crowd to see human weakness, not something that looked increasingly like evidence of impossible toughness. Ben removed the final pieces of his armor, leaving him wearing only his black undershirt and combat pants. The difference in his appearance was dramatic. Without the bulky armor, he looked smaller and more vulnerable. But the scars that covered his visible skin told a different story. His hands bore marks from a dozen different weapons. His neck showed signs of survival from attacks that should have been fatal. Even his face carried evidence of battles fought and won against overwhelming odds. "Captain Torres," Emperor Zex called from his viewing box. "These scars on your body, each one represents a battle." Ben looked up at the Emperor. "Not just battles, Your Majesty. Survival in hostile environments, accidents during training, medical procedures to save my life or the lives of others. Each mark represents a moment when my body was damaged but continued to function." Princess Kala was beginning to understand that she had made a serious mistake. She had assumed that removing Ben's armor would reveal weakness. Instead, she was looking at a living testament to endurance that surpassed anything in Zephyrian culture. "Your Highness," Ben said, turning to face the princess. "I am ready to begin the combat demonstration." Princess Kala nodded, trying to regain her confidence. "Very well, Captain Torres. Let us see how your scarred flesh performs against Zephyrian perfection." She moved to the center of the combat circle and began extending crystal blades from all four of her arms. The blades grew slowly, reaching full length of 8 inches each. They glowed with inner light and looked sharp enough to cut through metal. Ben walked to his side of the circle. Without his armor, his movements were completely different. He moved with a fluid grace that had been hidden by the bulky protection. His muscles were clearly defined beneath his clothes, built by years of training under Earth's heavy gravity. The crowd fell silent as the two warriors faced each other across the circle. Princess Kala stood nearly 7 feet tall, her crystal body gleaming in the light from above. Her 4 arms held deadly blades that could extend and retract at will. She was a perfect biological weapon, evolved over millions of years. Ben stood 6 feet tall, looking small and vulnerable by comparison. His only natural weapons were his fists and his human determination. He had no claws, no natural armor, no special abilities except those that came from being born on a world that had tried to kill him every single day. "Begin," announced Emperor Zex. Princess Kala attacked immediately, moving with incredible speed. Her 4 blades swept toward Ben in a complex pattern designed to overwhelm any defense. She was confident that this would end quickly and decisively. Ben moved like water, flowing around the attacks instead of trying to block them. His body twisted and bent in ways that seemed impossible, avoiding the crystal blades by inches. The crowd gasped as he slipped between attacks that should have cut him apart. Princess Kala pressed her attack, moving faster and faster. Her crystal blades created patterns of light as they sliced through the air. But somehow, Ben was never where the blades expected him to be. He moved like he was predicting her attacks before she made them. "Stand still and fight," Princess Kala demanded, frustration creeping into her voice. Ben responded by going on the offensive. He stepped inside her reach and delivered a powerful punch to her midsection. The impact rang like a bell as his fist connected with her crystal skin. Princess Kala stumbled backward, shocked by the force of the blow. The crowd erupted in surprised chatter. No one had expected the human to be strong enough to affect a Zephyrian warrior with his bare hands. Princess Kala looked down at her midsection where a small crack had appeared in her crystal skin. "Impossible," she whispered. Your soft flesh cannot break crystal armor. Ben flexed his hand, showing no sign of pain despite having just punched something harder than stone. Bone is stronger than you think, Your Highness. And human bone is denser than most species because we evolved under high gravity. Princess Kala extended her blades again and resumed her attack. This time she was more careful, keeping her distance and using her longer reach to her advantage. Her 4 arms worked in perfect coordination, creating a web of cutting edges that seemed impossible to escape. But Ben continued to slip through her defenses. He moved like a dancer, each step perfectly placed to avoid the slashing blades. When opportunities presented themselves, he struck back with devastating precision. His fists found weak points in her crystal armor that she did not know existed. After several minutes of intense combat, both fighters were breathing heavily. Princess Kala had landed several glancing blows that left shallow cuts on Ben's arms and torso. The cuts bled freely, staining his black shirt with red. But Ben seemed unaffected by the wounds. If anything, the sight of his own blood appeared to make him more focused and determined. He pressed his attacks more aggressively, forcing Princess Kala to give ground for the first time in the fight. "You are injured," Princess Kala said, breathing hard from exertion. "Why do you not yield? Your body cannot heal those wounds during combat." Ben wiped blood from a cut on his forearm and smiled grimly. "Pain is just information, Your Highness. It tells me I am still alive and still fighting." He launched himself forward in a sudden burst of speed that caught Princess Kala completely off guard. Before she could react, Ben was inside her reach again. His hands grabbed 2 of her 4 wrists, controlling her weapon arms while his knee drove upward into her midsection. The impact was tremendous. Princess Kala doubled over, gasping for breath as cracks spread across her crystal armor. Ben held onto her wrists, preventing her from using her blades while he delivered another knee strike to the same location. Princess Kala's crystal armor shattered around the impact point. Fragments of broken crystal fell to the arena floor with musical chiming sounds. Beneath the broken armor, her true flesh was revealed for the first time. The crowd fell completely silent. Never in Zephyrian history had anyone broken through royal crystal armor with bare hands. Princess Kala stared down at her shattered protection in shock and disbelief. Ben released her wrists and stepped back, giving her space to recover. "Your Highness," he said quietly, "do you wish to continue?" Princess Kala straightened slowly, her 4 arms trembling with exhaustion and shock. The broken edges of her crystal armor caught the light, creating rainbow reflections on the arena floor. She looked at Ben with new eyes, seeing him clearly for the first time. "How?" she whispered. "How is this possible? You have no natural weapons, no armor, no healing abilities. You are bleeding from multiple wounds. How are you still standing?" Ben gestured to the scars that covered his visible skin. "Every mark on my body represents a time when I should have died but chose to live instead. Every scar is proof that humans do not surrender, we do not give up, and we do not accept defeat." He took a step closer, his voice carrying across the silent arena. "Your Highness, your people are born perfect. Your crystal skin protects you, your natural weapons make you deadly, your healing abilities keep you whole. You are biological masterpieces." Princess Kala nodded slowly, still trying to understand what she had witnessed. "But that perfection is also a weakness," Ben continued. "When everything comes easily, you never learn what you are truly capable of. Humans are born weak and broken and imperfect. We spend our entire lives learning to overcome those limitations." Ben gestured to his scars again. "Each of these marks taught me something new about survival. Every time my body failed, I found a way to push beyond that failure. Every wound that should have stopped me became a lesson in endurance." The arena remained completely silent as Ben spoke. Even Emperor Zex was leaning forward in his viewing box, listening intently to every word. Your species evolved perfection, Ben said. My species evolved adaptation. You are strongest when everything goes according to plan. We are strongest when everything goes wrong. Princess Kala looked around the arena at her people. Their crystal faces showed confusion and wonder. Everything they believed about strength and weakness was being challenged by this scarred human who refused to fall. The humans ask for alliance, Ben continued, not because we need your protection, but because we offer something your empire has never had before. We offer the knowledge of how to survive the impossible. He gestured to his bleeding wounds. Your crystal armor shattered when it took sufficient damage. My flesh tears and bleeds, but it continues to function. Your healing is perfect but temporary. Our scars are permanent reminders that make us stronger. Emperor Zex stood up in his viewing box. Captain Torres, he called down to the arena floor. Are you saying that human weakness is actually a form of strength? Ben looked up at the Emperor. I am saying that surviving weakness creates a strength that cannot be broken, Your Majesty. Every human you meet has spent their entire life learning to overcome their limitations. We do not know how to surrender because surrender means death on our world. Princess Kala retracted her crystal blades and walked closer to Ben. Her 4 eyes studied his scarred face with new understanding. Your planet Earth, she said. It must be a terrible place to create such endurance. Ben shook his head. Earth is beautiful, Your Highness. But it is also dangerous in ways that forge character. High gravity that crushes the weak. Weather that changes without warning. Predators that hunt in packs. Diseases that test our immunity. Natural disasters that reshape continents. He smiled, and for the first time Princess Kala saw warmth in his expression instead of grim determination. Every day on Earth is a test of survival. Those who pass that test become something that cannot be easily broken. Princess Kala looked down at her shattered crystal armor, then back at Ben's bleeding wounds. I understand now, she said quietly. I thought I was revealing your weakness by making you remove your armor. Instead, I revealed your true strength. She turned to face the crowd of nobles in the arena seating. Citizens of the Empire, she announced, her voice carrying clearly through the space. I have made a grave error today. I mistook human adaptation for human weakness. The crowd murmured among themselves, their crystal voices creating soft musical sounds. Many were still processing what they had witnessed in the arena. This Captain Torres has shown us something unprecedented, Princess Kala continued. A species that grows stronger through adversity rather than weaker. A people who turn their limitations into advantages through pure determination. She walked to the center of the arena and gestured for Ben to join her. Captain Torres, on behalf of the Zephyrian Empire, I formally apologize for my ignorance about your species. Ben joined her in the center of the circle. Blood still seeped from his wounds, but his posture remained strong and confident. No apology necessary, Your Highness. Strength takes many forms. Today we both learned something new. Princess Kala extended one of her 4 hands toward Ben. The alliance between our peoples is not just accepted, Captain Torres. It is welcomed with great enthusiasm. Ben shook her crystalline hand carefully, mindful of her sharp edges. Thank you, Your Highness. I believe our species have much to learn from each other. Emperor Zex's voice boomed across the arena from his viewing box. Let it be recorded that on this day, the Zephyrian Empire and the United Planets of Earth became allies. May this partnership bring strength to both our peoples. The crowd erupted in cheers, their crystal voices creating a symphony of approval that echoed off the arena walls. Princess Kala raised her 4 arms in triumph, and Ben raised his bloodied fists beside her. As the celebration continued around them, Princess Kala leaned closer to Ben. Captain Torres, she said quietly, I have one more question about human endurance. Of course, Your Highness. Those wounds I gave you, she said, looking at the cuts on his arms. They will leave permanent scars like all the others. Ben nodded. Most likely, yes. Princess Kala's expression showed something that might have been respect or even admiration. Then you will carry marks from our battle for the rest of your life. A permanent reminder of this day. Ben smiled and looked down at his bleeding forearms. I will wear them with pride, Your Highness. They will remind me of the day two species learned to understand each other's strength. The celebration in the arena continued as medical personnel arrived to tend to Ben's wounds. But for the first time since arriving on the Zephyrian homeworld, Ben felt confident that the alliance would succeed. The scars he would carry from this battle would heal into permanent reminders, just like all the others. But these scars would be different. They would mark not just survival, but understanding between two very different forms of strength. As Princess Kala watched the human medical team work on Ben's wounds, she realized that she was seeing the future of galactic civilization. A partnership between Zephyrian perfection and human endurance could create something greater than either species could achieve alone. The alliance was more than diplomatic necessity now. It was the beginning of a new era where strength would be measured not just in power, but in the will to survive and thrive against any odds.